Welcome back, GPP Master members, week 15. 6 weeks to go for big money GPP NFL tournaments, week 15, 16, 17, and we'll probably get a big money tournament right through championship weekend. So, if you watched this video last week, you knew we've been on fire, but none more than last week. You had to make money and you had to win some big tournaments if you played in them, or at least place, or at least cash. So I'm going to show you guys the sweat I had. This is at 4:25 p.m. Those are three lineups in the Millionaire Maker. Third place, 361, 854. Ultimately, that 361 was not the best position because I had no late game players, but the two below it were really in a slot to win the Millionaire Maker. And at one point, I was in first place around 415, winning the million. Ended up with multiple lineups in the top 2,500 and four in the top 800, which is all you can ask in a 162,000 millionaire contest. Those lineups also won for me very nicely in some smaller tournaments. So it was a great week. We had the Dak Dez stack on here. We had Jamal Williams. I went hardcore, 39 points. Is that right? 30 or 39? I can't read my writing. We had Hopkins, 30 for Jamal Williams, 39 for Hopkins. Demaryius Thomas, low owned, 23. O.J. Howard, cheap and low owned, creating other opportunities, 14. So Kareem Hunt, 25. So if you followed this week, it was good. We're going to do this again in two parts. Why? Because it worked. And we're going to come back to that approach from last week. We're going to do a video part one on the quarterbacks. And then we'll do part two on receivers, running backs, tight ends. So getting to the quarterbacks, and I'm also going to put on my glasses because that was the first time I did that last week, and we worked out well. So last week, we had quarterbacks in tiers. And now this week, I think the strategy is going to be to do the same. But this week, there is no quarterback that jumps out at me as you have to play or you have to wait. I like to weight my quarterbacks like we've talked about. How many, this guy's going to be in 30% of my lineups, this guy's going to be in 20, and some guys just 1. This week, I feel like there's a lot of quarterbacks, and it's a week to focus on a smaller number of positional players, defenses as tight ends, and use a lot of quarterbacks with those tighter rotations of positional players because no one stands out. So for me, I'm going to throw 12 quarterbacks out there, but I'm going to have a very specific strategy and group of positional players. So let's just roll through the quarterbacks. Tier 1, Tom Brady. And by the way, just to come back to this, I may have 1, 2, or 3 for each quarterback. I'm not going to have a crazy level of exposure to anyone this week because the guys I really like are playing at different times, not on Sunday, not in the Sunday slate. So Tom Brady, 7,600. That's expensive. He's hurt. He's the most pricey. He's going to be low owned. Big Ben is going to be chalkier in that game. Everything says don't own Brady. But we know one thing. When Brady has his full slate of offense, and he has Gronk and Hogan back this week, he did not have Gronk in Miami. I cannot emphasize enough how big a difference that is on the field and stretching the field. But when Brady comes off a bad game and he has his full slate of weapons, Brady tends to be Brady. So you can't ignore that. So I'm not saying go crazy, but one lineup. It's a bet I'm willing to make. 33.8 points after the opening day loss to Kansas City in week 2. That's the bounce back, Brady. The Patriots total this week, 28 for the team. High over-under in this game. They expect there to be scoring. So if they hit that 28, it's likely Brady has a really good game and pays off that salary. On the flip side of that game, Big Ben, 6,700 at home. I do think the Pats defense shows up. They didn't have as bad a game as people think against Miami. The offense was never on the field. The Patriots went 0 for 10 on third downs. 0 for 10 on third downs. So think about what that does to the defense. So I don't think the Patriots defense will no-show here, but I do think Ben can move the ball. 6,700. Patriots are 24th against the pass. Their total in this game, the Steelers are expected to score 25 points. With these $6,700, we know Ben does better at home. Again, small exposure. I'm not going crazy on Ben or Brady. Drew Brees. On paper, I love him. Incredible matchup. 27th the Jets are against the pass. 30th against Michael Thomas or wide receiver 1, DVOA. Brees is at home. This is a playoff tune-up because they're going to need a throw. He's only $6,500. everything's lined up that you would say Breeze would be heavily weighted and you'd have multiple Breeze lineups, except it's a 16-point spread. I love the Saints defense, which we'll come back to. And if you get into a blowout around that 16-point spread, and Vegas is right, it's going to become Mark Ingram's game. And that concerns me. But on the flip side, Breeze has a total of 31.5, the most points expected to be scored by any team this week. He's going to put 3 touchdowns up through the air. So I will have good exposure to Breeze and buck all the point spread trends in the blowout and roll the dice there. Hopefully that if it's a blowout, he has 3 long touchdowns beforehand. Russell Wilson, another tough matchup. 7,300. The weather in Seattle is not good, so let's keep an eye on the weather. It's the only game that the weather right now is showing concerning, and we saw very firsthand what the weather can do to a passing game in Buffalo last week. Rain in Seattle, maybe some snow, but Wilson, these are his last 8 weeks. 8 weeks on DraftKings. 24, 24, 24, 32, 19, 25, 39, 29. So his total is 25 points expected to be scored. I think this game is a sneaky shootout. I just do. So you play Wilson naked, okay, meaning don't stack him with anyone, just play him. Can't ignore him. Same as Brady. Just can't ignore Russ Wilson the way he's playing right now, no matter who his matchup is. At home, in front of his home crowd. Excuse me. And the last one in Tier 1 is my favorite of Tier 1. Case Keenum, 6,100. He's had 5 out of the last 6 games on the road. Now he's home in the Dome. This coming off a loss. So I love a player coming off a big loss on a team that is contending for something. Home field. A playoff spot. Excuse me. A division. So he has incredible weapons. McKinnon. Thielen. Diggs. Even if Kyle Rudolph is out. His total, 26 points. The Bengals are 18th against the pass, but they're banged up. Mitchell Trubisky, 21.3 DraftKings points in the air against the Bengals last week. So load up. You can stack Keenum. We'll come back to that. Second tier, I'm going to throw 2 guys or 3 guys in the second tier. Little bit of exposure. Aaron Rodgers is a brutal matchup for his first game back. Carolina's playing really good football. Luke Kuechly's all over the field. The defense is tough. But it's Aaron Rodgers, so you never rule him out. It's kind of in that same school as Brady and Wilson, one lineup. Stack him with Devontae. Go for it. We'll come back to the stacks. Cam Newton. Cam is also, again, delivering it. This is an easier matchup for him. Green Bay's defense, like the Patriots, will play better than their stats show. So it's not an all-in crazy on Cam, but you can play some Cam here and hope he has one of his Cam games, which could be a disaster or a big, big 28, 30-point day. So again, in the strategy here of a lot of quarterbacks with few positional players, we're just going through it. This is what I'm going to be playing everyone I'm listing. Kirk Cousins, I don't love it, but you can stack him with Crowder and Dotson, and you're saving a ton of money, and you're getting a lot of value. Cousins, 6,000, Dotson, 3,800, Crowder, like 5,600 or 5,800. And I have a hunch about Cousins in this game. Tier 3, these are flyers, right? Nick Foles against the 21st pass defense, 23.8 Eagles expected points scored, $5,500. The offense is on fire. Foles is pretty good. He was 8-2 as a starter. He knows the offense. He's been here before. He is not Carson Wentz. He's certainly not Carson Wentz with his feet, as we learned last week, unfortunately. But I do think you can get a little bit of exposure to Foles in probably just one lineup for me. The sneaky number 2. So Case Keenum, sneaky number 1. My second favorite sneaky tier 3 here is Tyrod Taylor, who is going to play in a game where the Bills' hopes are still alive. Again, assuming it's not another snowstorm, assuming the weather's okay. I think Tyrod's sneaky here because he's like Cam and Wilson. He can get things done on the ground. Shady has been playing great. It's a really good matchup. A really good matchup. Low priced. So you play Taylor with McCoy. You can try that and hope he throws him a touchdown, and you can play him naked. The other guys at this low end, Flacco, only if Wallace plays at 5,100. Flacco's heating up, and he's playing a 28th ranked pass defense. This is a sneaky shootout game with Cleveland. Baltimore's defense is also a little banged up. So this, it brings me to the second half of this game. Last week, a lot of people had Kaiser and Gordon. I think people will jump off of it this week because it's the Ravens. But I am going to have a Kaiser Gordon, Corey Coleman stack, 5,000 on Kaiser. You can take that to the bank. I am going to have that stack. And I'll have Flacco on the other side if Wallace is healthy. Again, sticking to the strategy. And last, I think you can have a Blake Bortles Westbrook stack. The one guy I'm and a Jimmy G and maybe Goodwin stack. I like those are my quarterbacks. I know that's a lot, but that's the strategy we're going with. The one guy I don't love this week that I think will be highly owned against San Francisco is Mariota. He's just not performing well. He's hurt. His best players are hurt. His receivers are hurt. They tend to run the ball with Henry and Murray. And I may pay the price by fading that, but I think that's one I probably stay away from. Part 2 coming up.